everybody, Beth here from Access Paranormal for this week's I Want to Know, which is all about doppelgangers. Are they real? Now, I'll wait a little bit, but I'll mention that I was able to talk to a lovely, lovely lady called Lisa Taff, and she's based in Texas in the USA. Lovely woman, and she's actually writing a book, and she's pulling all this information and all these stories and experiences that people have had, and actually she's doing her own research on this, which I found was really, really interesting. So I've actually had the good chance of being able to interview this lovely lady called Lisa. Hello, hello Shane. And she is, it's fascinating experiences that she's come across, the patterns that she's found. She's even gone down to actually looking at the types of star signs that people actually have that are reporting this type of phenomena. So it's an interview that I've recorded for Access Paracast that's going to be released on the June 15th. So that's episode 24 that'll be happening. So by all means, if you are really interested in this and want to hear a bit more about someone who's actually doing their own research, by all means, do so. She's also looking for more experiences that people have had or feel they've had as well. Making sure the cat's okay. So if you feel like you've had an experience, it doesn't matter where you are around the world. She's taking cases all around the world, which is again equally as fascinating. Be sure to look her up. I can give the details at the bottom of this video once we have gone live. And if you're watching the replay, welcome as well. If you have your own doppelganger experiences, guys, use the comment section. I'd love to know what your experiences are and also what your thoughts are about what they are and why that people have experienced them for such a long time. So hello, hey, hey, hello, oh hey Jen, oh good to see you here too. So guys, I'll get stuck into it. Doppelgangers, the name itself means double doer. I would say double goer. I think that's how I feel. It's double doer and it's German. So we've stolen something from the Germans as well, not just from the word poltergeist. And it's actually something that was never really human itself. It's a spirit style of a type of apparition, which is exactly like you and is as close as it can be. Often there's a few things that might be a little bit off, but it's something that's sort of fleeting or having a moment and then it's gone. So that's generally what happens. There's some reports I've heard that they actually don't even have their own shadow. Now, I'm not sure how that could sort of work, but apparently that's one of the things that are also reported as well. Oh, cool. That's all right, Roz. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, sweetie. So there's that as well. There's also different types of times in which you can actually see one. So you can actually see a doppelganger of yourself, but you can also see one of someone else. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's only a doppelganger if it's just you. It's actually you can see a doppelganger of somebody else. You can also actually see one from the past. So that's another thing as well, doppelgangers from the past, whether or not it's, and I know we start to get into the whole residual haunting sort of style theory or idea when we start to sort of go into that part, and there is a difference. But when it comes to sort of a doppelganger of the past, it can be stuff that is being reenacted, but it's the person, it's just the person themselves, they're not using anything around. And let's face it, if you're seeing your own doppelganger of the past, you probably need your pulse checked, because generally if it's going to be residual haunting, it's more the fact it's something that has passed on. The person who was doing that has passed on many, many years ago as well. So having a pulse is a huge difference there. So that's the first part. Also, you can actually view yourself as a doppelganger from the future as well. So say for instance, if I had stepped out onto the patio here at my home and seen myself drive a car I've never seen before, that could be something where I'm seeing a doppelganger possibly from the future. Again, it's a little bit more trickier because I haven't died, and you don't need to die to see the future. A lot of people know it as precognition as well, or fortune telling, or forward telling as well. So it gets a little bit more grey in that sort of area. But that's, again, you can actually see a doppelganger of the past as well as the future. There's also, of course, you can see in the same time frame, which is, I think some people refer to it as bilocation. So you're actually seeing yourself somewhere, or someone is seeing you, and then someone is seeing seeing your doppelganger somewhere completely different. Now, it doesn't have to be in the same room, same building, same country. It can actually be in a completely different part of the world as well. So that's the other part too. You can actually be bilocational where it comes to seeing a doppelganger at the same time. Now, they're meant to be pretty foreboding kind of messages. Some say they talk. Whatever information they give you, don't listen to it. It's meant to be quite bad. And of course, seeing one is sort of foretelling your own fate. Seeing one of someone else's could be that they're quite ill, or maybe they may actually pass as well. Again, this is different from what is known as a crisis apparition, where someone will come to you and want to communicate or let them know that they've passed. This is a very different interaction. They can be quite cold. They're very emotionless as well. So there's a fair difference with the difference between a crisis apparition and a doppelganger too. Now, I know there are different types of ones all the way through history. Reports of doppelgangers have been reported through all different types of myths, all different type of countries and cultures. I think there's the Norse one, which I know I'm going to pronounce this the wrong way, so I'm just going to offend everybody who's got Norse heritage or in any way, shape or form, so apologies beforehand. But I think it's a Vordua or Vordorga, and it's their version of a real life person who is the other part of you, but is the negative part of you. There's also, I think the Irish call it the fetch, which is another version as well, as what their version of it. So doppelgangers have been around for a long time. The myth and the stories of it have been around for a long time. I think even in ancient Egypt, I think it's called the Ka. I think the Ka is your other version of you. And again, it's the, if you're alive, you're the good version. If you're seeing something that is you, then it's the negative version. So that, I think, can also help play into the whole idea of it being always a negative thing if you actually accidentally see one. There's also another theory about it being possibly aliens. People say it could be alien life forms coming in, shape-shifting, being, copying you and the likes. That's another idea. Some people may explain what this could be. I know that there's a famous case, and I think Andrea might have mentioned it in the post that I think I posted yesterday. I can't even remember what day it is sometimes. And it's about a famous case of a French teacher. And she had, this is what I found really interesting, is that she's got multiple witnesses. Mind you, they are children, so they're impressionable. And it was around the time of the Victorian age where the belief in the afterlife was huge. So already I'm like, interesting. And of course, stories can change over the years as well. We've got to keep that in mind too. And she would, the kids would report, say for instance, she was writing on the chalkboard, and about 1 meter to 2 meters away, there will be a doppelganger would appear and actually copy her movements, but there's no chalk in the hand and no writing on the board. So that was one of the reports that was reported from this particular situation. There was another one where I think she was eating something, and it appeared behind her and copied her actions as she was eating, but there was no food. How creepy. But anyway, just regardless whether it's true or not, it's just creepy. And also there was another time apparently where she was out in the garden attending to flowers, and the kids were in the classroom, and she had appeared in the chair. And one of the kids actually got up to go near her and noticed that she was very motionless, very cold, and then she disappeared. So I don't know, as children, whether or not be traumatized by that. I don't know if they were very accepting with that. Obviously, people like you and I would be fascinated by that. So yeah, this woman apparently had multiple times where this actually happened to her. So very, very interesting. Probably one of the most well-known cases. But again, Abraham Lincoln is one of the most famous, I think. He looked into the mirror and actually saw a version of himself in the actual mirror, and his wife was very worried that he would not make it to his next term of presidency afterwards. So that was really interesting too. Now, of course, are they real? Are they real? Do doppelgangers exist? Or, could they exist? Now, knowing me, I've got to put my rational hat on. I'm always about plausible explanations as well as looking at reports of people's experiences. So a couple of things that might help explain it will probably be what we call spatial reasoning. Now, everybody has it. It's an explanation of how we interpret and look at information. Now, it's not pareidolia, but it's kind of similar. It's like another dimension. It's three-dimensional type stuff. So looking at maps and working out how that works, and looking at puzzles and working out how that works, or looking at an object and sort of turning on its side and seeing how it will fit with something else. So everyone's got different versions of spatial reasoning. Some people are much better at it, some people not so much. I'm probably not so much. Husband can probably vouch for that. When we go driving, we're looking at a map, or even just Google Maps. But so that's one thing. So it could actually be the fact that someone's got a higher sort of a level of spatial reasoning or spatial intelligence. There's also the fact of it could actually be visual hallucinations. There's another thing as well with that. Obviously, you know, if you're very stressed or if there's certain medications that you're on, there's a lot of things happening in your life. Some reason that could be something that may actually be reported. And also there's another one which is parallel universe. That's a bit way out. But the fact that we've got universes that are running alongside ours, and sometimes they might just dip just a little bit. It will give us a glimpse of what actually might be happening on that universe. And there's all different parts of us that are living in different universes, and that's just a whole other Facebook live session right there, which it's only Tuesday night and I can only deal with so much. So that's another theory as well. So that's, again, some people may know it as the multiverse theory, but parallel universe is also another term which is for a different type of universe sort of explanation as well. Now, if you are really, really interested in finding your own doppelganger, I already have one. She's my twin sister. She's 10 minutes older. When I looked at this website, some of the examples have been really interesting. There are people that look so much more like themselves than I look like with my sister. It's incredible. So, and these people have never met. Most of them, if not always, have never met. I've loved the stories of people that have posted when I announced this particular topic as well, of people who have had mistaken identity. I've mentioned mine with my husband as well. There was someone in the neighbourhood, and police knocked on the door, and it took a long time to convince them it wasn't him that committed the crime. This other guy did. If only that was the case all the time. So by all means, if you've got experiences, use them in and put them into the comment section. I'd love to be able to find out what your experiences have been like and how you've had that happen, what your thoughts are on that as well. But if you are really interested in finding your own twin stranger, because that's a live version of you, so doppelganger not necessarily means an actual full-bodied person that you know and meet and speak with. Twin stranger is actually the correct term, but we often interchange them. So technically, twin stranger is the best terminology. But this website's called Find My Doppelganger. So if you are interested in and a bit curious to see whether or not there's going to be two versions of the best, head over to that website and check it out and see if there's anything you come up with. And if you do, I'd love to know, or let us know and put it in the comments down there. And I can't wait to read all your comments as well. To everybody, well, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next week.